Three, two, one. Hello, everybody. This is episode 32nd of The Hill Show. I'm super excited tonight because tonight I'm going to have Mr. Patrik Vincent. He's going to tell himself what he's all about, but to us and to so many people out there, he's an inspiration. He is so many things that I just cannot count right here. So I will let him introduce himself as well. Thank you so much for joining in. Welcome here, Mr. Patrik. How are you?
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very glad to be here. Hello.
Thank you. So let's begin. First of all, Patrick, tell us about this. Who is Patrick Vincent? What's your story? What are you all about?
Okay, so who am I? Well, my name is Patrik Wincent. I'm an authorized therapist, and I also specialize in the psychology behind technology. Some might say internet addiction, mobile addiction, but what I do is I specialize in behavior types of addiction, which means it could be shopping, gambling, video games, social media, mobile phone, etc. So I started my journey 9 years ago, I think, when it comes to behavior addictions. But before that, I also dealt with alcohol addiction as well as narcotics. So I mostly the last 16 years I've been helping people that are struggling with some type of addiction. And I'm an author. I've been written, I think it's 5 books, and I do also lectures around the world, especially in the Scandinavian countries. And I'm also, or used to be, a TV host for a popular TV show called Lyxfällan. So I do lots of things. I like to do different things. Yeah, I don't know. That's me.
That's great. So tell me about this. I am really interested about this. A lot of people are. Tell us about your vast experience in psychotherapy. What's it all about, and how, more importantly, how it is creating an impact?
Well, you can use psychotherapy in different types of way. You can do it to manage situations right here, right now, which means cognitive behavioral therapy. So, for instance, if you have lost your will or you have lost the ability to control yourself or your will, you can able to find methods or techniques to be able to go to different types of direction. And then there's therapeutical things that you can do to maybe look into the past, which means if you suffered for, say, maybe a trauma, maybe your parents was divorced or something happened to you as a child, you can be able to revisit your childhood and to kind of reconnect and heal old stuff such as traumas. So you can use therapy in different types of way. But what I do is I use it when it comes to overuse of technology, when you overuse social media, mobile phones, or you overuse shopping that makes social impact or physically or mentally that will damage you as a person.
Great. And so obviously this is something very significant. I feel like every one of us, every single one of us goes through this. We all are on social media 24 hours a day, and we often at times, we feel like, this is a mess, like, our minds are a mess because we do not take a break. We do not take a step back and, actually realize or think, it's not always good to be on social media and scrolling all the way because it increases your level of stress, right? Because as much as positivity there's around, there's also a lot of negativity. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, you must say that technology is something that should be considered, of course, positive. We living in an amazing time and we should never go back. We should always strive to go forward. This is very important to say. So I mean, I praise people like Tim Cook or Steve Jobs or people like that are innovating technology and takes us a step forward. So technology should be something that is positive, but we also have to recognize that in some cases, and in my case, because we have a treatment center that deals with a lot of these issues, is that some people overuse these types of technology, and then a lot of consequences will show up because if you're waking in the middle of the night and you have to check your notifications or your social media, if you're watching a movie or if you're at a restaurant, and or if you're in a car, 25% of every car accidents is actually based on mobile phones. So it could be a damage for yourself if you overuse it. And you have to focus on school, you have to have sleep, you have to be able to also sometimes do tasking, because of the thing that technology allows us is to multitask. We can do many things at the same time, but also we see tremendous consequences because of that fact.
Right. My next question, Patrick, is about your book. So you're an author and you've written two amazing books. Tell us about that. Tell us about both of those books. Why did you feel the need to write them? And what's your experience all about? And how is that creating an impact?
Well, the thing is, when I started as a therapist, I was so excited to help people. It was with alcohol and narcotics because I also been sober for 16 years. So for me, it's a personal journey to be, sober. And when I went to school and to become a therapist, that is what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people. So I started out with chemically or alcohol and narcotics, but then I slowly shifted the way to behavior addiction, such as video games and social media and internet and so forth. So I started to I started to contact a person called Kimberly Young. She is unfortunately dead now, but she was actually the first one that did an internet addiction study way back in 1997. Can you imagine how long time
Wow.
ago that is? I mean, because the internet came to us at 19, I think it was 91. So internet was only 6 or 7 years old. And back then she actually did a study around that subject. So she's very globally known, or was very globally known, and Chinese government has used her for her research and so forth. So I reached out, and she actually took me under her wing, and she became my mentor. So then I started to become very interested, and I started to writing a book. And the first book was about video gaming addiction, and I started a page and a company, and a lot of people started calling me. A lot of parents, a lot of families, press started to take an interest in it because almost nobody has ever spoken about these types of subjects here in Sweden. It was in the States, it was in Asia, but not so much here in the Scandinavian countries. So it's almost like a pioneer type of work. And I started to write this book. And of course, it was interesting because when I started to write about video gaming addiction, I came across also that it's not only about video gaming addiction, it's about mobile phones, it's about the technology, how social media is constructed, the psychology behind technology, and why we're so hooked that they're actually engineers that is purposely manufacturing some types of things that will hook you even more than maybe you want to be online. So I was kind of interested in that, and I wanted to give people some sort of help and some sort of tips and advices how to, first of all, get to know about the challenges that we see out there, and also the studies, the statistics, and also to kind of describe the consequences and also to give them solutions and tips.
Great.
And I did. So one book became the other, and then became the third, and then I started to write about shopping addiction. So I was Probably just writing for almost 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So one book a year almost. I think it was 6 years. So 5 books in 6 years. That's crazy.
That's actually crazy now that you say it. That's actually pretty crazy. But Patrick, so here's what I'm thinking about right now. I'm thinking, whenever I look at a business, whenever I look at an organization, whenever I look at a startup or a brand, whatever it is, I tend to learn the what, why, and how of that organization or that brand because it gives me it lets me know what's the purpose of this, how are they doing things, right? How are they creating an impact? So if I have to ask you, you founded three companies and more than that, what's your why, what, and how of all these companies?
What do you mean? Because I think it was bad connection. I couldn't hear the last sentence. Can you repeat it?
Yeah, sure. So I want to know what's the why, what, and how of your companies, the three companies that you founded. What are they all about?
Well, one is about specifically how to deal with shopping addiction. So we have different types of therapeutical programs for that, and therapists that will execute these programs. So that could be any people that some people that feel that they are shopping excessively, that they cannot hold on to their money, or even they don't have any money. They just take loans to buy things because they want to have a certain type of idealistical type of personality. They want to be the luxurious guy or woman that has the Louis Vuitton bag or the shoes or anything. So basically, when there's no more money or they have a lot of debts, then they are calling us for advice. So basically, what we do is we book a first session, and then we do a mapping to kind of see how their life looks like, how their economy looks like, and then we can offer them a certain type of therapeutical program. So basically, they can accept, or if they don't think it's suitable for them, they can go to another company if they want. So that is shopping. But then we also have the video gaming, which is the biggest one, and we also have digital detox camps. But mostly, it's parents that actually calls us and say, "Listen, we have a son. He's playing too much. He don't want to go to school. He's up all night. He's not showering. He doesn't take care of his hygiene. He doesn't train. He doesn't have friends in real life, and we have a problem." So we have to kind of engage with the parents and give them support. Then we also confront the kid, and hopefully he will also be convinced that this is a proper way to go ahead, is to work with a 12-week program or a 6-week program. So we also offer them therapeutic programs. And then we have the detox camp. It's a digital detox camp where we have outside in the middle of nowhere in the forest, and we take teenagers, 20 of them, and then we strip them of all their technology, and then they have to go through their anxiety, the restlessness, and to reconnect with nature. It has a very healing power, and we do a lot of things that kind of makes them slow down their nervous system, to maybe do mindfulness. We have sharing groups, which means that we are in a circle and we talk about different subjects. For instance, one topic could be, why are we playing so much video games? Well, what are we escaping from? What is it with video games that are so interesting? Why don't want to do other things that takes patience, tolerance, things that for them feels very boring, because of the fact that we now have a brain that is used to what we call instant gratification. The instant gratification that we always want to take the shortcut. We don't want to do anything else if it's not a shortcut. And a lot of kids that has a brain that is used to that will only play video games and not develop like emotionally and spiritually. So what we do in the forest is these types of exercises, and also rites of passage. Rites of passage is something that is very important, that transformational stage, which is often used in Indian tribe or African tribe, that when when a young boy comes into manhood, like the teenage stage, they need to cut the cords of the parents and go out with the older men to do a certain type of challenge. And when they've achieved this challenge, they can go back to their village and be more, praised that they have now left the childhood and gone slowly into manhood. And that is actually our challenge in our society. A lot of kids that has not done this transformational rites of passage therapeutical stage because they are still in their childhood. They're in the center. Parents are taking care of them. They can be like 24, 25, 26 years old, but they're still stuck in their childhood, and they don't know how to go into their adulthood to be responsible, to manage certain stuff.
Wow,
So it's a challenge.
that is huge. I mean, this is a total game changer. But um, what is it all about? Like, how do you counter the shopping addiction? How do you counter the video gaming addiction? Is it CBD? Cognitive behavioral therapy? Is it NLP? What is it all about?
Well, it can be a mixture, but if it's a young teenager, then we have to do within the whole family. So it's not just the kid. We have to also manage to coach and to give assistance to the parents, because in often cases the roles are switched, that the kids are in charge of the house, because if they want to play video games, they can play video games. They don't want to go to school, if they don't want to train, the parents has nothing to say, because if they try, then the kid will be violent or passive or threat that they will take their lives or whatever it is that makes the parents back off. So what we have to do is to kind of help parents to take back their parenthood and set a structure and routines in the house. Like, does the kid needs to go to school? Does he has to train 3 times every day? What time is he going to bed? Are you going to eat food together? How many hours in front of the screen when it comes to pleasure time, like gaming or whatever? So it's like a circle of different types of pies, and if you have the whole circle of just being in front of the screen, you will see a lot of consequences. So you have to also fill in some other things that are more appropriate. So that is what we do with parents. We help them to build a structure to take back their parenthood. And then with the kids, we want them to understand, to have a better understanding of the psychology behind technology, why the ranking system within video games are very tricky, and also, to make them understand and to give them knowledge so they can have a certain willpower when they notice different things within games, and also to kind of help them with their, maybe they have a bad self-confidence, they don't believe in themselves, maybe they're filled with shame. So we have to boost them up to make them understand that they're very capable, very talented, and to keep them motivated. Because in our companies, and we have a motto saying that you always need to take risks. You always need to take risks. If you don't take risks, then you don't develop. You don't have a direction in life. You have to go out of the comfort zone. What we're seeing now is kids in front of their screen and never taking risks. Because when time goes and you're always in front of the screen, you will feel antisocial. You will be feeling afraid of taking part of life, taking part of society. What happens when you have to go to a job interview and you have to, be answering a lot of tough questions? You have to take risks. So that's what we want to learn them to kind of be more responsible.
Wow, that is huge. And so, just to sum it all up, all of these sessions. So, let's say if this is about digital detox or video gaming addiction, one session comprises of how many hours or days? Like, what's the whole session all about? How much duration?
Well, I mean, what we're offering is like like phone support. So whenever, if they're home and something happens, they can call their therapist. We will be always instantly online with them to help them and assist them. But other than that, they are giving materials, exercises, structure. Uh, One thing is to have like a family meeting. We think that is good to have once a week, like an inventory. Let's say you do an inventory for a company. This is necessary. You can also make an inventory within the family that you gather around within a circle. You have a meeting leader and you have a secretary. So you will point out within the family who will be the secretary, who will be the meeting leader. And then you have like a format with 6 points that you will follow. And the first point could be you can all share something nice to every family member that has happened during this week. Say for instance, Robert, that is the video gaming addict. Then maybe the mother says, "Listen, Robert, I want to thank you that this Wednesday I didn't have to tell you anything, but you actually cleaned up your room, you made your bed. I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate it." And then Robert can say something to all the other family members. So it's a kind of nice icebreaker in the beginning to kind of give good feedback. And then the second is, if you want to apologize for something that happened this week, you can do that. And the third is, what has happened the last week? What types of subjects do we need to bring up? What is working and what is not working? So it's like a family inventory. And then you end up with the last point of you can all do something nice together after the meeting. So it's a nice kind of format that we emphasize. So basically, we could do that, give them that. And other than that, the program is once a week, they come to a therapist for a session. It could be the son and it could be only the parents. So it's like two different individually processes.
Right.
And also sometimes it can be the whole family.
Okay, wow, that feels like it's very structured, and obviously that's why it works, right?
Yes, but it depends. If it's a young teenager, you have to get involved more with the parents. If it's an old teenager, or say for instance, the guy could be 24, 25, then he's a young man, but maybe still stuck in the house and dependent on his parents. Often when the older you get, there is a lot of shame, because they've seen their friends graduate, they are married, they have a driver license, they have a job, they have a house, but they themselves are stuck in the basement playing video games, and they're dependent on their parents. So when we meet these 24, 25, 26-year-olds, there's a lot of shame. So maybe the structure is different the older they get, and then we have to work with them, because then we release their parents and try to engage with them and hope that they're willing, because deep inside they want to change. Often maybe they're afraid, but deep inside they want to change, and we want to say, listen, it's okay, it's never too late, we can start here, but we need to kind of take risks, we need to help you, we will be there by your side to challenge you to also take new steps, whether it's going to the gym or just going out to maybe the store or interact with a woman, or go to a job interview. It could be very different, but eventually in the end they have to be more responsible of taking their life seriously, because when they do that, they feel better, they feel confident, they feel proud. And when they feel confident and proud, then their self-confidence level will be higher. Because come on, let's face it, video gaming, if you're not an esports elite, or you make a lot of money, and you're sponsored, you have a contract, then video games is something you should consider as pleasure. But pleasure is pleasure. We have time for pleasure, but we also need to be responsible for our lives. That's how we feel good. That's how we can strive and develop ourselves. And when we do that, we feel good.
Great. Thank you so much for summarizing all of this, Patrick. My next question is about what else, everything else that you do. So tell us about that. Tell us about the popular TV show Lyxfällan. Tell us about, you've spoken to TEDx Stockholm, TEDx Boisen. Tell us about all of those experiences. What were those all about? What did you learn out of those?
Well, listen, life is great. I often find it that, opportunities comes by my way. I don't need to seek it. It's like I have trust in life, in the higher self, whatever you want to call it. And it's kind of funny. I was writing a book, and it was about shopping addiction, and I left some chapter out on Facebook, and then someone called me and said if I was interested in a TV show. And
Oh,
I
wow.
went for some interview, and then another interview, and then the third one, and then I became the one of the hosts. And it was not something that I was striving for. It just came about, and it was nice because I like challenges and I like to develop. I was quite intimidated, but I learned to never say no if I feel interested and curious. So I did that a couple of years, and it was actually one of the most famous programs in Scandinavia and Sweden. And it was an honor to host as a host at that TV show, and I learned so much. I met so many friends, and I still cherish them a lot today. And so it's like you never know what's coming your way, and it's the same with the books and the publisher companies that contacted me and wanted me to write books, or even lectures. Different countries wanting to invite me. I go there, I talk. So I'm very open. I like to have different opportunities to challenge myself. So I don't want to get stuck in just a therapist or just an author or just, because back in the days, I didn't mention that, but when I was young, I had dreadlocks and I was a rapper. I was in a music band, and I was actually released in 39 countries. I was touring around the world and had hits, and as a 19-year-old, made a lot of money. So I've had different types of careers. It's kind of crazy when you think about it.
Wow, that is huge. So what made you transition from a musician to a psychotherapist, or learn come this way, move your career?
Well, I mean, as music business, it's a lot of partying, and for me, we did party, and a lot of memories is good, but some memories is also not so good because it was a lot of alcohol consumption when it comes to myself, and basically it came to a point where I basically drank too much. I had a problem, and I had to actually look at myself and to kind of surrender. And I hit rock bottom. I felt so bad at one point in my life. I was actually 29. And I said to myself, I can't live like this. I got to make a change. So I went on a spiritual path, and my first therapeutical process was actually the 12 steps. And then I went to therapy, and then I did a lot of mindfulness and meditation. And meditation was very important to me to kind of starting to reflect and be self-aware of my feelings, that I don't need to escape from my feelings. I can actually be here, whatever it is. If it's good things or bad things, I can be present. I don't have to escape. So it kind of learned me not to escape whatever types of feelings I have. I can be present. And I'm very grateful for that types of process, whether it's therapy or the 12 steps or meditation. I think they all made me to become, I would say, a person that is self-aware and that actually like myself. Didn't do that. I didn't like myself when I was young because I was so afraid. But today I can say I like myself. and I'm confident that I can manage whatever I want to manage.
Wow, that is great. That's just great. And talking about that, talking about your younger self, tell me about this, Patrick. What has been your life's biggest failure, and what did you learn out of it?
Well, okay, failure. Well, because of the drinking, I actually failed. Well, I feel that I failed myself, but I also failed relationship with my partner, with my son that was very young at that time, with my connection with my parents. Because when you're drinking and when you have a drinking problem, you become very self-centered. You become very closed off, and that is what I would say my biggest failure is, to disappoint, or not being a good example of my surroundings at that time. So at that time I was very confused, very scared, and but it had to be done, because if it wasn't for that phase, I can look back to it, and I can now also be grateful, because if it wasn't for that phase, I wouldn't be where I am today. So in that perspective, I'm actually grateful.
Wow, that is great. I feel like yeah. I mean, it's about accepting who you are because you are what you are right now because of what happened previously, right? You need to be acceptable of that. You need to be grateful about that. Your perception is beautiful, Patrick. My next question is about self awareness, and I want to ask you, what do you think? How can somebody be more self aware, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, my experience is to, if I would say one thing, that would be meditation. If you would take the time to close your eyes, just sit still, be in contact with your breathing, and just reflect, whatever it is, your thoughts, what happens to your body, what type of sensation you have, the sounds in your surroundings. It could be a car or a refrigerator that is humming, whatever it is to be kind of conscious of the being of right now. That would be something that will definitely increase your awareness, and to have a structure that you will have something that is repeatedly, not just once. You have it every day. It doesn't have to be an hour, it could be 10 minutes. Everybody can sit down for 10 minutes. There's actually a quote: if you cannot sit down to meditate for 10 minutes, then you should do it for 60 minutes. So that's a good
Exactly.
advice. Like, because everybody has time for 10 minutes. So to have a self-awareness, I think you need to explore more inside, because now we're so stimulated to be fed of video clips, information, notification, text, social media, everything. We are bombarded with information that comes from the external side, that comes within. But when do we have time to actually reflect what is inside, to use your imagination, to reflect what type of feelings I have in my body? We are actually shut off many hours a day because of that, because we're so hyper every time, and because we're multitasking and doing many things at the same time, that we don't have time for that. So I would suggest, because of the era of technology today, that we need to kind of relax, let the brain, let the nervous system relax. And to do that is to meditate.
Right. Um,
Meditation.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Patrick. My next question is about sleep, diet, and exercise. I want you, since you're an expert in psychotherapy, it's very important to have you on the health show. Tell us about this one by one. I want to ask you to give any insights about a better sleep. What would you say?
Well, well, I mean, based on science, sleep scientists are saying that at least 2 hours before sleep, you should turn off all the technologies. So first, no technology in the bedroom. I would say that would be my most,
One of the hardest things to do.
hands-on a device. No smartphones in the bedrooms. and also cut off the technology at least 1 hour before bedtime, because your brain needs to, relax, and also your body, and then you will be easier to fall into a deeper type of sleep. The REM level will be deeper. So cut off the technology, and maybe I don't know, maybe avoid drinking Red Bull or coffee in the evening, so you can have better sleep. Because in the gaming culture, a part of it is to drink Monster drinks and all of that. But if you want to have good sleep, you need to relax your body. And also, if you do exercise, running. I'm a runner, so I love both the gym, but I've been a runner since I was I think 26. So I've been running 5 marathon races. So I love running, and I think that is the best pill for happiness. You can never go wrong with running, and you will also sleep better. And I think it's very necessary, for sure, for the younger ones, because they need to go to school, and a lot of studies show that they are more tired now, so they need to exercise more, and also to shut off the technology and don't have your smartphones in the bedroom.
Right. Thank you, Patrick. What would you say about a healthy diet?
Well, I mean, healthy diet can depend, because I've tried different types of diets. Right now, I go with the 2,200 calories per day type of thing. That actually works for
Wow.
me.
How do you
Because
burn all of
before I
it?
tried what?
How do you burn all of it? Like 2,000 calories?
But I mean that I can eat up to 2,200 calories. That I cannot exceed the 2,200.
All
Like
right. Perfect.
I don't want to eat for 3,500 calories per day. It's like I want to be within the limit of two and two.
Right, right. Perfect.
So, but I'm not like hyper, like counting every calories. It's like I know how much it is without weighing. I don't want to weigh some food or something, because I know how much calories different things are. So I have a system that works for me. But before that, I tried different types of diets, like keto diet, and you know, it doesn't work for me. I like to eat everything, but it's all about the calories. If you want to feel healthy and fit, you you have to be within a certain type of calorie level, I would imagine. Because if you train a lot, because some people, they have a higher burning ability, so maybe they can do 4,000 calories. I don't know. I just know that I'm 46 and I know my limits, so I think I feel good if I'm within that space. And also train, of course. So I train maybe 5 or 6 times a week.
Wow. Okay, so Patrick, you're 46 years old. I mean, and you have abs. I mean, and you're fit. You have a very athletic body. Tell us about that. How do you maintain all of that?
Well, thank you. I'm blushing here, but yeah. Well, I mean, it's. I think for me, it's a combination of gym practice. I have a gym in my house, so it's very convenient. Of course, during Corona times, I had no thing. There was a lot of space of working out, so I did a lot of that. Some people maybe gain weight in fat during Corona because they don't exercise. Me is the opposite. I train a lot, so maybe I've gained some muscles. I don't know, but so I do regularly gym practices and also running. So I think those two types of combination, you do cardio as well as lifting weights. I think that is a good recipe of keeping fit.
Wow, that's great. Tell us about this. What would you consider a best exercise routine?
Wow, I think, I mean, if you do the gym, I would say you do 2 muscle exercises per hour. So if you do today, you could do like breast and triceps, and then the other day you do biceps and back, and then the third you do triceps and then your legs. You kind of have to divide it. So every time you do a gym practice, you can have two muscle exercises, and then you do three different sets of different exercises. So it will be in total 6 different types of exercises regarding 2 muscle groups, and it will take maybe 50 minutes if you're efficient. And then if you go out running, you can do it for 50 minutes, and then that will be around 10 kilometers, I would guess. Yeah. So
Right.
it would be for a week, could be maybe 3 times running and 3 times gym, perhaps, or 2 times gym and 3 times running if it's 5 days a week.
Right.
And
Um.
then within all of that, you keep that 2,200 calories limit. And I also, I'm not a breakfast eater, so I kind of do, I wait until lunch, so I kind of postpone my calories in front of me. So I do it, I do the first intake at lunchtime.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So you have like 2, 3 meals a day.
I do have 3. I could have 4. And it's like, you know, I can eat a pizza if I want. I can eat everything I want if I want. But then it's like I have every day a chunk of money. It's like I have
Mm.
2,200 calories. What do I want to invest in those calories? I can eat a pizza, of course. Then it goes 1,800 calories away. So then I have only 400 left, right? Or I can invest in better things like fruits, vegetables, chicken, fish, maybe not so much carbs, maybe salads, different types. There are also different types of protein ice cream. You can have a bar. A bar with no sugar doesn't kill you, and so popcorn is also a healthy way to keep satisfaction. If you eat popcorn, you feel satisfied. You don't feel hungry. So every time you feel hungry, you can eat popcorn. It's not much calories. It's very, very little calories because it doesn't weigh anything. So popcorn is good.
Wow. You know what? This is one of the most interesting, perceptions I've heard about calories. Seeing them as an investment, seeing them as you have money, and so that's a very beautiful perception. Thank you for sharing that, Patrick. Um.
Because in the Yeah, because in the beginning I was like, oh yeah, I can eat everything. Let's go for the pizza. I can postpone my calories. But then even when I ate pizza, I wasn't feeling satisfied. So I'm the kind of guy that hate being hungry. I do
Hmm.
never want to be hungry. So therefore, I kind of invest with my calories in a better way.
Great. Patrick, you're 46 years old. I mean, that's huge. You have years of experience, years of, experience with people, with life, setbacks, failures, a lot of experience. So tell me about this. Right now, Patrick, you're 46 years old. What would you, if you can go back to your 24-year-old self, what would you tell him and why?
Well, yeah, I'm very old. So yeah, okay. So if I go back in time and I would talk to my 24-year-old self, I would first go up to him and I would give him a big hug. I would squeeze him and tell him that I love him and that it's okay, that everything is going to be okay, and I don't have to worry about things. And also try to make my younger self understand that it's okay to be yourself. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to act like something else or try to be someone else. It's okay to be yourself. So I would reassure him that everything is okay, and I would try to give him as much love as possible.
Wow, that was really beautiful, Patrick. But wouldn't you tell him, like, don't do this? Maybe, this is not going to go in the right way? Obviously, you're gonna learn from it, but would you tell yourself that or not?
But that's a tricky question because if I would do that, if I would advise him to do differently, then maybe I wouldn't be the older self. If I would kind of change course of my past, because in one way I'm actually grateful that I've
Hmm.
had those challenges, but I also, of course, like you said, I see also the suffering that he has. So I would kind of would be more, I don't know, I would say like just try to be yourself and try not to escape from your feelings and your thoughts or behavior, and just just try to love yourself more, because back then when I was young I was very confused and very like emotionally cut off. So if I would connect with my younger self, it would be to try to make him be more open emotionally, that also it's okay to cry, it's okay to feel vulnerable. You don't have to act tough, you don't have to be someone else.
Great, great. Patrick, tell us about this. Where can our listeners find you online?
Well, I mean, you can go to my Instagram page. That would be Patrick Vincent, Patrick with a K and W, Vincent with a W. And it's the same on Facebook, Patrick Vincent, as well as LinkedIn. So if you want to connect, if you want to talk to me about something or anything, I'm available to even go to Pakistan for a lecture or whatever it is. I'm open.
I would love to invite you one day, Patrick. Just be ready in coming years.
Okay, great, great. Sounds good, man.
Okay, so Patrick, what's that one thing you want to leave the audience with tonight?
I will leave that life is short. Go get some. Go get life. Is always take risks. Don't be afraid. If you're afraid, just take that risk, because you don't want to be laying in your deathbed and wishing that, damn, why didn't I do that or this or whatever it is. Always go with what your heart says. I think that's important because it's a short time, man. We need to do whatever it takes to do whatever we want.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that, Patrick. I just want to ask you this one final question, and that is, we've been having a great conversation right now. Do you want to share anything out of the blue to all the audiences?
Wow. I mean, I would definitely want to say that technology is great and it's amazing work. But if you're interested in reading my books, I also have it in English. If you want to get a hold of that, you can contact me. I also have audio based books that's available, and uh, I think it's important to take that information because now technology will take us ahead. We have VR, we have so many things, but we also have a lot of challenges. We also need to kind of find that balance because we need to put humanity first and technology second. So we kind of need to rearrange a little bit that technology will serve humanity and not humanity will serve technology. And right now, it's kind of like that, and we kind of need to change that.
Great. Thank you so much, Patrick, for your time. We had a very deep and very insightful conversation. I hope to see you soon again in the show, and maybe we can talk about the companies that you've founded and how the whole process is going. But it's been amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, and I would love to come back. Yeah, thank you so much. It was a great talk.
Great. Thank you, Patrick, and have a nice day. Goodbye.
You too. Bye bye.
All right. So our live